Can you do this? As early as your 40s, you may lose muscle and strength. Protein supports muscle health. Ensure Max Protein has 30 grams of high-quality protein to feed your muscles up to 7 hours. So take the challenge. Ensure.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here's what we have in the bulletin.
Ministry receives temporary supply of HIV medication. Church groups raise concern over Naira bill accountability oversight. And later in sports, Khadija Bonishar wins Player of the Year at the 2026 Women's Football Awards in England.
Thank you for joining us. Know the details. The Ministry of Health says it has received a temporary supply of medication used in the treatment of HIV/AIDS patients. This is in response to the current supply shortage attributed to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has disrupted global supply chains. Medical Program Director for the HIV Sexually Transmitted Infections Unit, Dr. Nicola Skyers, says 1,350 bottles of the medication arrived Thursday. Speaking on Beyond the Headlines yesterday, she noted that the medication is expected to be distributed and made available for this weekend into next week.
Know that it is a particular drug and not a wide-scale, low stock of the antiretroviral drugs. It's one in particular that's particularly low. And that item, an interim shipment, arrived today, and we'll expect another shipment shortly. As it is currently, within the public sector, we have just over 160 bottles of atazanavir available across the public sites.
Meanwhile, President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica and Director of the Pharmacy Council of Jamaica, Dr. Tyrone Smith, says patients should contact the various pharmacies to determine if they can access the medication.
Would call around to find out where those are and try and access it. And also, sometimes when we do our shortages, you have private pharmacies that may still have a few on their shelves. So persons could still try to reach out and see what could happen.
Debates continues to intensify over the proposed National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority NARA bill, as two church groups voice concerns about sections of the legislation. The groups says questions remain surrounding accountability and oversight under the proposed authority. More in this report.
The Jamaica Umbrella Groups of Churches, JUGC, and the Watchman Church Leaders Alliance, WCLA, say they support measures to improve Jamaica's disaster response and reconstruction system. However, both organizations argue that questions remain regarding accountability and oversight under the proposed authority.
One of the things we are concerned about is accountability, transparency, those and we need it to be at least to be rooted in a context that allows for us to have public trust and for us to collectively have national ownership of NARA.
One of the major concerns highlighted is the absence of a statutory governing board for the authority. Chairman of the JUGC, Bishop Roy Notice, raised concerns about the level of transparency within the proposed structure.
And I think the church is calling for NARA to have a governing board that is rooted within law, not just Jamrock, that is an oversight body that will report after the fact. But we're saying if government is really interested in accountability, then this board will not slow the process down, will not add to the bureaucracy, but rather would increase transparency and will allow things to operate more smoothly. A board would reduce the concentration of power and from being in one office or in one hand, and so there'll be shared oversight and it will involve broader expertise.
The church representatives made the comments while speaking on Beyond the Headlines yesterday. The NARA bill was passed in the House of Representatives last week. It is expected to face further debate in the Senate later today.
Some people are wondering why the church is entering the conversation. And I just want to make it very clear that as a church, we are very concerned about national life, and we are very interested in allowing national recovery to take place in a way that is within law, is in a way that is effective, and in a way that is efficient.
Aliyah Bryant, TVJ News.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Kassan Troop, says discussions are underway to increase funding for some underperforming schools. She explained that several schools are struggling due to a range of issues, including poor infrastructure and other resource challenges.
There are some schools that need more. So our standard ratio that we use to fund school, we have been asked by our minister to review that for this year. We have sent to her already a framework, but she has sent us back to do the consultation. So the CEO is leading the consultation with our principals and board chair to come back to minister with a proper formula to ensure that those schools that have small numbers, that we can give them more in the new academic year. So yes, Lassie is on that list. All the schools that are experience very low enrollment rate.
Dr. Troop said the aim is to provide targeted support to help improve outcomes in these institutions. The Education Minister says the proposed measures are part of wider efforts to strengthen the education system and improve student performance.
We are going to be meeting with our schools to inform them for the new academic year what they will be getting in terms of their overall funding plan, maintenance, infrastructure, operations, and differentiated opportunities. So it is an entire new package for them. We are aware of the challenges at Lassie. We have met with the principal. I personally met with the principal, and we have spoken about, let us see what the programs that you will need to implement for that institution and come so we can look at that from a different perspective, because the students there need more than an ordinary school would need. So I've spoken to her personally about that. So we're looking to see what they will be coming with based on their assessment of the students, and then we will see how we can resource that so they can be effectively implemented.
Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says the visit by India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar to Jamaica was successful. The visit took place from May 2 to 4, 2026 and marked the first time an Indian External Affairs Minister made a bilateral visit to Jamaica. Discussions were held on relations between both countries and the exploration of new areas of cooperation.
His Excellency Dr. Jaishankar, the Minister of External Affairs of the Republic of India. And it was a very successful visit. Several MOUs were signed, and they obviously signaled the strengthening of the relationship between Jamaica and India. These partnerships, particularly in health, renewable energy, public broadcasting, skills development, and technology, are very important agreements. And it also includes the health and medicine area in terms of cooperation and exchange of personnel, and the solarization of the Hugh Lawson Shera building. The entire building, that is our Ministry of Foreign Affairs building, will be solarized.
Can you do this? As early as your 40s, you may lose muscle and strength. Protein supports muscle health. Ensure Max Protein has 30 grams of high-quality protein to feed your muscles up to 7 hours. So take the challenge. Ensure.